Hello, everyone. My name is Father Ted Trinko. I'm a contemplative priest of the Incarnate Word serving in Maryland of the United States. Today is September 8th, 2025, and we're celebrating the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Our Gospel today comes from Matthew, the book of genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham became the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers. Judah became the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez became the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Amminadab. Amminadab became the father of Nahshon, Nahshon the father of Salmon, Salmon the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz became the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed became the father of Jesse, Jesse the father of David the king. David became the father of Solomon, whose mother had been the wife of Uriah. Solomon became the father of Rehoboam, Rehoboam the father of Abijah, Abijah the father of Asaph. Asaph became the father of Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat the father of Joram, Joram the father of Uzziah. Uzziah became the father of Jotham, Jotham the father of Ahaz, Ahaz the father of Hezekiah. Hezekiah became the father of Manasseh, Manasseh the father of Amos, Amos the father of Josiah. Josiah became the father of Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the Babylonian exile. After the Babylonian exile, Jeconiah became the father of Shealtiel, Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, Abiud became the father of Eliakim, Eliakim the father of Azor, Azor the father of Zadok, Zadok became the father of Achim, Achim the father of Eliud, Eliud the father of Eleazar, Eleazar became the father of Matan, Matan the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. Now this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found with child through the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her husband, since he was a righteous man, yet unwilling to expose her to shame, decided to divorce her quietly. Such was his intention when, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary your wife into your home, for it is through the Holy Spirit that this child has been conceived in her. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall be with child and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. On what day was Aristotle's mother born? No one really knows even the year. And in a way, who really cares? Aristotle was one of the most esteemed men in history. Yet we have no idea about his mother's birthday, and if we did, it wouldn't mean anything to anybody. It's enough that we know about Aristotle and what he said. Yet we do know about and celebrate the birthday of the mother of a Jewish carpenter from an obscure nation in ancient times. The Church has celebrated the birth of the Virgin Mary from at least the 5th century. Church fathers such as St. John Damascene describe how she was conceived naturally by elderly parents who had never borne children. St. Epiphanes relates that her conception was announced beforehand by an angel. For most of history's heroes, it's enough to know about they themselves and their accomplishments. But this is not the case of Christ. When it comes to the Son of God, we also want to know about his mother. Why do we celebrate the birthday of the Mother of God? Because her birth signals the beginning of the end of our death. The coming of Mary is the beginning of the end of sin. Our spiritual birth will soon follow her physical emergence into the world. The Byzantine liturgy exclaims in this line of thought, "Today is the end of the barrenness of our nature," talking about the Nativity of Mary. In many instances, the high point is preceded by other elements. Before you get to the main event, you're going to have certain preludes. For the main comedian of a stand-up act, there will often be lesser-known entertainers to warm up the crowds, getting them in the joyous mood. At the heart of every book, there's a climax where many storylines of a lesser nature converge or collide in a dramatic fashion. They were building up to the main event. In a concert, there will be many musical performances, but one piece or musician tends to take center stage, the main attraction. If you see an acrobatic act, maybe in a circus, the most daring acts don't take place at the very beginning, but they're preceded by lesser feats of athletic prowess. In a meal, it's customary to serve appetizers before the entree. So, in the drama of salvation history, the climax, or the main event, was when the Word became flesh and offered himself on the cross. The prelude to this centerpiece of God's plan was the birth of she who would clothe him with flesh. As St. Andrew of Crete said, this radiant and manifest coming of God to men most certainly needed a joyful prelude to introduce the great gift of salvation to us. The present festival, the birth of the Mother of God, is the prelude, while the final act is the foreordained union of the Word with flesh. St. Peter Julian Eymard said that the devil was terrified of Mary even as she lay in her crib. To the devil she appeared as an army in battle array. Before the newborn Mary, the demons feel the humiliation of their leader's defeat and foresee the terrible war that this little girl will wage against them. None of us intimidated Satan and his minions in this way. Everyone, besides Mary, has at one point been enslaved to Satan. He held us in his grasp for at least some point of our existence. With Mary, he could never touch her. 9 months ago today, on December 8th, last year, we celebrated the Immaculate Conception. By means of this singular grace of God, she was preserved from ever being guilty of any sin, and hence never capitulating to any of his suggestions or falling into any of his traps. The devil is actually terrified of Mary for several reasons. He has no power over her. Her coming means his enthrallment of mankind is coming to a close. She will play a cooperative role in his downfall, and by God's grace, she actively protects us, her children, from his snares. It's normal to celebrate the anniversary of anyone's birth, but this is much more appropriate in the case of Mary because of how much good her birth did to us. There's a lot more reason to celebrate Mary. St. Gregory of Palmas sees that the joy Mary's birth brought to Joachim and Anne was a miniature version of the joy her birth would bring to the whole world. Why did Mary come from a barren womb? In order to put an end to her parents' sorrow, transform their disgrace, and prefigure that deliverance from the grief and curse of the forefathers of the human race, which was to come to an end through her. She transformed their sorrow and annulled the ancestral curse. It's something so good, she's bringing an end to the ancestral curse that was upon mankind for so many years, for so many centuries. St. John Maria Vianney explains another reason why we all ought to rejoice at Mary's birthday. He said, "Your birth, O Blessed Virgin Mary, fills the whole world with a sweet consolation and a holy joy, because of you was born our Jesus, our God, who has taken away from us the curse in which we were plunged by the sin of our first parents, and filled us with all kinds of blessings." In Spain, it's actually customary that the person who celebrates their birthday gives gifts to the people that come, gives gifts to the invited people. And in a sense, that's what Mary does in her birthday. When she is born, she bestows gifts of grace upon us. So let us rejoice at the birth of our Queen and Mother, which filled heaven with joy, earth with hope, and hell with terror. Even in her cradle, Mary was the delight of the most holy Trinity, the admiration of the angels. The world rejoices, for it beholds the advent of its liberatrix. That was from St. Peter Julian Amard. Her birth calls our attention primarily to the fact that a new beginning is at hand. When Christ first came into the world, he was preceded by the Blessed Virgin Mary. It's a common thing. It's common that the coming of Christ into particular souls will likewise be preceded by a deeper relationship with the Mother of God. So before Jesus came into the world the first time, first came Mary. Before Christ comes into a particular soul at any moment in history, normally Mary comes first. A Frenchman by the name of Alphonsus Ratisbonne converted to Catholicism after he began to wear a miraculous medal and say the Memorare prayer every day. More recently, the wife of a famous Canadian philosopher, Jordan Peterson, his wife, Tammy, became Catholic after she started to say the rosary every day. And there's many other instances of, that aren't as famous as these cases, but just to mention a few, where first a person enters into a relationship with Mary, and then the door is open to Christ. It's typical that Mary be involved in the return Catholics who don't practice the faith anymore. Perhaps they never explicitly rejected God, but they've drifted away from regular confession and weekly Sunday Mass. Perhaps these people have been living a very bad life and feel ashamed to draw close to God. If you are of the disposition of wanting to come back to full communion with Christ and His Church but haven't yet made a firm choice to do so, start saying the Rosary every day. That connection with Mary will lead you to her Son. She's never far from Him. If there's a family member you're trying to bring back to the church, start saying an extra Rosary for them. Those prayers don't fall on deaf ears.
If you found this video fruitful, please feel free to share it with a friend or family member. Or if you would like to learn more about our missionary priests throughout the world and how to support them, please visit iveamerica.org. Thank you for watching, and God bless.